So welcome back, guys, to Founder Files. If it's the first time you've watched us, this was born out of an ambition to try and speak to real people doing real things and probably step away from the fact of listening to famous people, influencers, people born with loads of money. So I'm really pleased to be joined today by the founders of Vitality Revival. Guys, introduce yourself.
So absolutely great to be here with you, mate. Again, all brand new to us. We've never been on a podcast before. What a way to start. But yeah, we are just as you said, a normal couple. My name's Theo.
Plus one.
Yeah, plus one. Yeah. You're the reason we're here. So I'm Theo. Obviously, this is my wife Jade, and this is our little boy Caspian.
So
and
I don't think there's any bigger indication that this stuff must work.
Yeah, it's going to be nothing but an interruption of this podcast from proof of work. But yeah, so we went through the IVF journey a couple of years ago, and that's what led us to creating Vitality Revival, is simply because as we went through the journey, one of the things that we noticed is the fact that when you go through IVF in particular, they tell you to have all of these supplements to increase your chances.
Yeah.
And they tell you what dosages you should be taking. And if you actually look on the market, the vast majority of supplements, they don't have the dosages that you need.
Yeah.
So what we ended up doing is you end up buying 15 different products.
Yeah.
And what we found is, roughly speaking, for the two of us, we spent about £300 a month on supplements.
What?
On top of 21,000 that we spent on IVF.
Is that how much IVF is?
Yeah.
Super expensive now.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So when you go through IVF, you get options. So you can just go and buy one cycle.
Yeah.
But if you kind of look at the data of IVF, you know, in our age bracket, kind of mid-30s, IVF is roughly a 30, late 20, early 30% success rate. So it's a low success rate, and basically the way it works, and obviously every clinic is different, so it's by no means a definitive guide, but generally speaking, what you find is you'll get an option of you can buy one round.
Yeah.
For they'll say it's about £5,000, but then you've got to pay for your medicine on top of that, which is about another 3,000. So you're looking at about £8,000-9,000 for a full cycle from start to finish, including blood tests, analysis, and all of that.
And then £300 a month on supplements.
Yeah. And obviously what you're looking at is roughly a 30% success rate. So we had the option, and some clinics offering, it's what we took advantage of, which is, you know, call it £9,000 for one cycle, or they'll do 3 cycles for £20,000, get one free, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what we decided to do. And because we thought, you know, 30% success rate, let's play the mathematics game here and pay for 3 cycles up front.
Yeah.
So you end up forking out a lot, and I've got a lot of friends at the minute going through it, and they're forking out, you know, 10, 15 grand a time.
Wow.
And then on top of that, it may not seem like a lot when you've just spent 20 grand, but for a lot of people like us, you know, we weren't born with any money. We've had to work literally 18-hour days to pay off the IVF.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, when you're looking at £300 a month extra in supplements, it does add up, you know, and that's what led to me thinking, you know, throughout the whole process, I remember sitting down thinking there's got to be a company somewhere that's putting everything you need in one.
Yeah.
That's doing it at, one, a fair price, and 2, with the right dosages.
Yeah.
Because again, a lot of the time it was little things. A lot of them have all the right ingredients in.
Just not very well done.
Yeah, so they would say, you know, one of the big ones for particularly fertility, male and female, is coenzyme Q10.
Yep.
One of the most expensive ingredients. So the recommended dose is you need 300 milligram a day.
Right. And what was the stuff?
The average product is putting 75.
Yeah. So
it's not even a bit.
No, so you're getting a quarter of a dose. So you have to buy coenzyme Q10 on its own. And again, that alone as a product is like 20 quid.
Yeah.
For a month's supply for one person.
Yep.
So again, by the time you did that for all of the different things,
Yep.
we found it was around about £150 for each one of us, which just on top of trying to pay the bills in the current economy and everything
I was
else.
going to say it's
Yeah.
unattainable.
Because like I said, we were both NHS workers most of our life. This company isn't founded of we happen to have 100 grand tucked away somewhere.
And then it's gone. So
Yeah.
walk us through that then. Let's go back to the beginning then. So where did life start for both of you?
So my family is historically quite medical. So that was a route that I was always interested in. So when I was able to, I went and studied microbiology.
Yep.
and absolutely fell in love with it. And that's what I spent most of my life doing, is working in research in microbiology, understanding cellular physiology, how cells work, understanding how actual different supplements work for cells. So I do a lot of what I call independent research, which is where I've been an approved university researcher in the past, and I simply use the skills and knowledge to go and look at different fields, look at different topics. And again, that's kind of where my career has gone into the research side of things.
Yeah.
And that's what led us to thinking, well, hang on a minute, I know how this works, so why don't we try and put it all together? So that's always been my background.
And you mentioned you've been in and around the gym industry for a while.
Yeah.
So when you come in?
Yeah, so again, when I was, going back to, I probably went into the gym the first time when I was about 13 years old.
You love the gym.
Yeah, love fitness.
Every night in it, buddy.
And again, that's a big part of our other line, which is our Revive line, which is about boosting hormones. So, we've got the fertility line, which is all about increasing your ability to actually conceive. But then we've got the Revive line, which is about reviving your hormones. Because particularly, again, if you delve into like the cellular biology, the lifestyle that people are living now is not a lifestyle that is conducive to a healthy human body.
No.
And,
the levels of inflammation, terrible food,
absolutely,
lack of nutrition.
And that's a big part of a lot of people. They hear about it in products. They may not even understand what it means fully, but we talk a lot about antioxidants in products. And antioxidants are simply there to try and get rid of reactive oxygen species, which are created when your body deals with inflammation.
Yep.
So, as you well know, with your own line of everything, the fact is, in today's day and age, everything we eat comes out of a packet. Most people can't afford to go and get, your butcher's organic food.
Yeah, grass-fed beef and stuff.
I'd love to be able to afford organic.
Yeah, and again, we're in a similar boat. We would love to be able to go and, get grass-fed beef every day, but it's physically out the budget for a lot of people. And as a result, a lot of people have systemic inflammation.
Yeah.
And it causes a lot of problems. Systemic inflammation, it's going to spike your cortisol. That is then going to cause more suppression of good hormones.
Yeah.
And, something that I've noticed, and a big part behind how we designed the Revive line, is if you look at studies, if you look at data, large population studies, what we're seeing is the fact that testosterone levels are dropping in age groups that it should not be affecting. We're because on the side of this, I run a lot of blood work clinics.
Yep.
So I do blood work analysis on, over the years, more people than I care to count. And one of the things we notice is the fact that so many people, their testosterone levels are at the bottom end of normal, and they're 31, 32.
Yeah.
And it's now become almost accepted that, once you're in your 30s, it's all downhill.
It's all downhill from there.
We've had the discussion before that about basically, like, even females, like, you're hearing a lot more about IVF now.
Yeah.
And why is that happening so much now?
Well, I saw a data set from RFK in America. 76% of the American population have got some sort of illness.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
And it's madness. And again, the reality is a lot of people nowadays, I find, and again, it's something that some of the listeners may well be aware of, is it's almost become, science has become politicized an awful lot.
Yeah.
And what we're now finding is people don't want to necessarily look at science if the person that's provided them with that science has a political belief that doesn't align with theirs. And now what we've found, and again, is when you look at the science data, you almost have two groups of science. You've got one group that one group of people go, this is correct, and then you've got another lot of research that another people say is correct. And instead of people looking at all the projects independently and going, what's the data telling me?
Yeah.
They're going, well, who told me this? Oh, that's come from an administration that I don't agree with, so I won't follow the advice.
I'll ignore it. Yeah.
This information came from an administration I like, so I'll follow it.
Yeah.
And people aren't looking at the science. And all we're trying to do is, obviously, like anyone, we have our own beliefs, but we're simply trying to put the science out there for people. We're not trying to get people to, believe one thing or another. We're simply saying, look at the data.
Yeah, but I think the interesting thing is, anyone watching this, you've got a credible background.
Yeah.
You've got people literally white labelling this stuff.
Yeah.
Sticking it on from Alibaba, terrible ingredient panel, cheap on TikTok.
Originally, well, we did look through all of that, didn't we?
Yeah, well,
there's just nothing that's any good.
I had a lot of people recommending to me to start off white labeling because it's cheap.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, if you want to get a business off the ground, white label. And you know, I'm
if
not
you've
going to...
got deep pockets for a PPC budget, I agree,
But the thing that I found is I was looking around and there's all these products out there and there are literally hundreds of them. Oh, best testosterone booster in the world, best fertility booster. And you'd read the ingredients and, you know, science will say the working amount you need is, you know, 2,000 milligram, for example.
I don't see we ever talk about optimal either.
No.
I think we should be looking at optimal with everything working.
Yeah.
The desired. No, optimal, optimised. Like in everyday life, you try and get the most out of everything, yet generally in our food, we're on about recommended daily allowances and optimal allowances.
Absolutely. And a lot of the stuff, if you look at the recommended daily allowance, that is the bare minimum your body requires to scrape through life.
Yeah. And no allowance for maybe activity, size, gender split, age.
And you know, it's the same as a big thing. You look at like the recommended allowance for protein intake. It's marginal. You know, the government says you should have like 75 gram a day.
The best ones though, when they say it's going to hurt your kidneys. I'm like, do you drink wine?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you drink alcohol?
And what I always say, because I do a lot of this type of thing. I talk to a lot of people. I teach a lot in science. And I hear a lot of people say, oh, yeah, but what about my kidneys? What about this? Don't get me wrong. If you're eating 800 gram of protein a day, your kidneys are going to slope it up.
Yeah.
But we're talking about healthy levels to help your body regenerate.
Yeah.
You know, protein has often been put forward as this thing that you only need a minimal amount. But every single cell in the body is functioning on protein.
Yep.
You know, and it's become to the point where, you know, we're saying, oh, you should only have, you know, like I said, 50, 75 grams of protein a day. Well, actually, science tells you the opposite. Science says for your body to work optimally, you know, you should be having a couple of grams per kilo of body weight. You know, and if you're a sports person, obviously you need more. If you're a growing child, you need more.
You need more. Instead, replace it with carbs. Like, I never get up first thing in the morning. It's carbohydrates. It's like...
Yeah, and interestingly, if you look at a lot of that, when... You learnt a new skill, haven't you?
Yeah, talking about meat.
Yeah, you're getting hungry.
Loves his meat.
But yeah, when you look at the history behind the focus on carbohydrates, it was all during kind of pre-Cold War era, where we were preparing the population for potentially another World War episode where we're going to have to ration. So what do? Is we say, what's the bare minimum you need to survive? You need this. How can we make it the cheapest way possible for a government to feed its people? Well, quick access carbohydrates is much cheaper than animal fats and protein. And again, if you look at the data, you know, a lot of information's come from the RFK Health Administration, and it is remarkable studies that they... And I always say to anyone before people jump and say, oh, well, I don't like that administration.
Oh, God, did it?
Most of their evidence comes from Harvard. If you actually look at the papers they're citing, they're Harvard University papers.
Right.
It's not like RFK himself has sat there and gone, oh, I think we should do this.
But if you look at on that point, though, look at the person that was doing his job last time. Like our health minister. I saw the old meme comparisons. You're like, why the hell would you listen to that mess?
Yeah.
Versus at least this bloke's, what is he, 70?
Yeah, he's in his early 70s.
Phenomenal.
He looks better than most of us.
He must be doing something right, do you know what I mean?
But a lot of the time, I've always said, you judge people by the information they give you and whether or not they apply it.
Yeah.
You can look at any of our UK governments and you can look at the health secretaries. Do they live the lifestyle of health? The majority, no. You know, the majority are under the category, they're obese. People may not look at them and go, oh, they're obese. But if you actually look at the categorization, they're massively overweight. They don't live healthy lifestyles. And they're promoting the information that as a society we're following, going, well, it must be healthy. And
with
I always...
Zero knowledge.
Yeah. They're literally being told by someone else that's done the research, oh, what should I say? And, you know, what I say to everyone is, one, do your own research. We live in an era now where evidence is more available.
You don't even need to do too hard. You can talk to ChatGPT now and it'll talk back to you like me and you having a conversation.
And
he knows.
And I tell everyone, you know,
Mummy on that, haven't you?
academically, it's easier now to have information than ever before in the world. I look at when I first went to university.
It's kind of lost its value in a way. This is what worries me. What knowledge used to be the most expensive thing to get, like a lawyer. Solicitors.
Ironically, I'm also a lawyer.
Oh yeah. Mate, this is good. But if you think now you're that was really your ability to study
and retain knowledge.
And retain knowledge. Now
Studying,
it's got such a flip where you're worried like, what the hell does the world look like in 5 years when knowledge is no longer the most valuable entity?
I've spent
Do you want to go on cruel?
16 years in adult advanced
Right,
education.
let's go back to the beginning then, because it's a bit founder fast. So we'll have both here, and it's great that we're straight into the brand, 'cause it's not often we get this. So, because you just offered another lens that I'm fascinated in. We'll go back to leaving school and walk us through that timeline. You can't just chuck in you're a qualified lawyer out of nowhere, do you know what I mean? As well as being a biologist.
Well, just done that, haven't you?
Yeah, so
Just for fun.
my education's a bit backwards because my family, we moved out of this country when I was about 10 years old.
Okay.
And we moved to the Caribbean to live over there.
Oh, right.
Because my dad sold.
What was that like?
Lovely.
Weather's nice.
Yeah, best childhood ever. And it was my life is really random like that. So, you know, when we were, again, years fly by, but about 9 or 10, my family sold up their business. So my dad was a landscaper.
Okay.
Did some really impressive, he did work on Buckingham Palace.
Whoa.
He did David Beckham's house.
What?
So he came from, you know, and he started from nothing. His background is he started milking cows.
Right.
And he
Natural progression.
And he saved up and bought a lawnmower.
Bingo.
Once he bought a lawnmower, he cut grass.
Yeah.
And he kept cutting grass until one day he got a contract with the council.
Yeah.
Then he cut the council's grass.
Yeah.
Then he taught himself how to lay bricks.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he built on from that. So he came from absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's been our approach as well. When I left home, I didn't have 2 pennies to rub to my name, and everything we have we've built up. But yeah, so about kind of 9, 10, we moved to the Caribbean. We lived over there. Great childhood, but you become very separate from what the majority of the world is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You live in your own little. People think, oh, you know, the world's the same everywhere. It's not.
No, is it?
There isn't advanced education in the Caribbean. There isn't any of that. You know, we lived on an island called Dominica. You had a population of about 60,000 people, 24 miles by 12 miles. You walk the whole thing in a couple of days if you put your back into it. So I was over there for the vast majority of
spin that chair just so I'll do
my GCSE and A-level period.
Yeah.
And as a result, we're under the American system, not the English system for education.
Yeah.
And in the American system, if you do relatively well, you're allowed to skip years. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. And to me, it's very logical. And because I was in a school that was so small, so to give you guys an idea, my school, because again, people don't realise how, even in, because we're talking 20 years ago, 20 years ago, not a bit more. 24 years ago when we moved over there.
Yeah, I know. It's taken some years off that.
Yeah. And what you found is that because we were white, you weren't allowed to go to the normal schools.
Right.
Schools didn't allow white children in there.
Okay.
So if you're a local kid, you went to the local school. If you're a white kid, you had to go to the white school.
Yeah.
Now, bearing in mind, on Dominica, in my class, there was only 3 white people. Our entire school, there were only 12 of us.
Really?
So we had 1 teacher to 1 student.
Right, yeah.
So naturally, it sounds daft, but we progressed a lot quicker.
A lot quicker, yeah.
Because you got 1-to-1.
Yeah.
And in order, and all of our teachers were locals from the island, but because it was considered prestigious to teach in a white school, they were all incredibly devoted to their teaching.
So you got like a absolute...
Yeah, you got phenomenal education, because a lot of them would travel to America to study.
Right.
So they could get their master's degree, and then they would come back home to the island to try and, you know, progress.
Yeah.
And you know, so I had phenomenal teachers. I always give credit to my mum. She was absolutely phenomenal teacher as well.
Yeah.
And as a result, very quickly, I fell in love with the sciences and all of that. And I found that
You moved that chair just because the camera's right.
I finished my GCSEs a couple of years early. So I'd finished them all by 14. They were done and dusted. So I then sat my A-levels at 14, and I had those finished by just before I turned 16.
Wow.
So then at 16, I wanted to go to university because I was done with all my education. So I put in an application, and they accepted me. And I went and studied microbiology.
At what, 16?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was that weird kid whose parents had to drop him off at uni. Yeah, everyone. Yeah. All these other adults turning up in their first car, and there's me being dropped off by my mum in a Honda CRV.
So how long did it take you to complete uni? Like,
so I did standard time for uni because it doesn't matter. You just got to follow the program. So did my undergrad in 3 years, then did my postgrad in a year.
How did you find it?
Absolutely loved it.
You really like learning, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely love it. I've never had a day since I turned 12 years old. I've never had a day where I've not got a book in my hand, reading and learning something new.
Yeah.
So worked in microbiology, studied all of that, kept progressing further. So did research in genetics, research in embryology, things like that I found interesting. And then about 6 years ago, from now's timeline, just had a random spur of the moment. I thought, fancy going to law school. So I applied, got accepted.
And what does that look like at this age?
You're a lot older than everyone else.
Yeah, generally a lot bigger. Look at the size of you. So wait there. The little one's how old?
He's a year.
And when did you start the law stuff?
6 years ago. So I was doing my master's degree in law and research while he was he'd just been born when I finished it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Good timing.
Yeah.
And what sort of time? Like, how much did that take up of your time? What's the commitment?
I still worked full time while I was at law school full time.
Right. Okay.
Time management.
Yeah.
Law school, and I say to anyone that's listening, if you're interested in academia and learning, you don't need to be sat in a classroom to learn.
No.
So I can tell you, hand on heart, I didn't turn up for a single lecture in law school, and I got first class honours when I came out.
Yeah.
I scored highest of my class graduating, and I never set foot in a university.
See, I kind of liken it. Like, I'm a bit of a strange character. If I'm interested, I'm in. If I'm not, I'm still like a small child.
But that's what it is. It's the same for me. There's a lot of stuff I have no interest in, so I don't learn about it.
Yeah, and I'm just not. No, now I won't read. Show me a long letter, and I'll be like, fucking, oops.
Yeah.
That he normally has to read them. But give me I can micro learn really fast.
Yeah.
Reels, podcasts, and all my socials is dedicated to the interests I have.
Yeah.
And I'm just like all the time. I barely watch TV now. I just sit on my phone. People think we're rude. I'm like, I'm just learning.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything. I want to absorb stuff like supplements, business.
Yeah. I spend tons of time sat on the sofa just scrolling on my phone, reading journals, reading research papers that have been published about different things.
Yeah.
Because and this is why.
And how crazy is that? How gifted are we? Like, people talk about how hard times are. It's like, no, you had to go to school years ago. You had to go into a physical building to go in the law. The library was the only access for books.
But this is my whole point: is the education now? It's incredible. When I studied microbiology, I had to sit in a library. Had to borrow books from the librarian. They didn't have them, had to order them in for you. You couldn't write in your book, heaven forbid. Whereas now, the fact is, and people...
Stamp as well. You stamp it out.
Yeah. Stamped in and out, and you get a late fee.
We had a little library van that used to come to the village. Do you remember? Do you have
the book library.
Yeah.
But that's how it used to be. And education was a lot harder then because you had to sit and read it.
Yeah.
And the reality is, nowadays, what you can do is you can use certain AI programs. They are brilliant.
And they summarise.
Yeah. And I always say, if you know how to program AI, you can get reliable information.
And this is the thing, isn't it? I always liken it. Watch Iron Man.
Yeah.
It's Tony Stark using Jarvis.
Yeah.
That's the difference between Google, where you ask it something or you talk to it to work with it. I think that's the probably optimistic lens on AI.
But that is it. At the end of the day, if I can, and whenever I use AI programs, I'll ask it a question I don't know, and then I'll say, when you provide an answer, find an academic article where you sourced your answer from.
Yeah. Make it proof it.
Right, and then I'll go and click on that article, and I will then summarise it myself and go, is it told me what it's correct?
Yeah.
Yes, right, now I can listen to it.
And look at the time period. If you talk about the framing of what you've done there, the time saving is massive.
Oh, and this is my whole point was, when I first went to university, it was time consuming. When I went to law school, albeit 6 years ago, technology was advancing, and I was able to do it all while I travelled. So I used an app called Speechify, which has got realistic human voices, and this was before AI was big, and it would read to you. So I used to commute to London every day.
Oh, so you've got an hour each side of the day.
Well, we live just outside Birmingham. I used to get the train to London every day. It was an hour and a half train journey there, and then
3 hours a day.
Yeah. And so I would have 3 hours a day. And what you could do is Speechify that really helped me is the fact that you can, one, pick a realistic voice, but two, you can pick the speed. So I would listen to everything at 1.3, 1.4, at 1.5 times.
On my voice notes like that. Yeah.
And what I would do is I'd be able to process 5 times the information by just sat there listening to it, rather than, because if I read, I'm the same as anyone. I get distracted.
Yeah, I can't, mate. I have to listen or talk to me. Yeah.
And if I've got Speechify reading to me, I can follow along. And then when I get to a bit I don't quite understand, I can pause it. I can then delve into it.
Yeah.
Figure out, okay, how did this law come about? Why did it come about? Okay, that now makes sense. Let me move on.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why I say now you live in an era where people can access information better than ever before. And a lot of the time, people, I think, are just inherently lazy.
Yeah, and take it. I mean, just think. I've always said this when someone says about, it's giving me the wrong information. Don't fucking stupid you sound.
Yeah,
like it's up to you to interrogate it.
Yeah,
like, well, you can't have to get any more, or serve it on a plate.
No, you've got to have enough about you to. And I always say a lot of this comes down to common sense. I appreciate it seems to be disappearing in the world now.
It's very minimal. It's a rare commodity.
Yeah, which is a madness in itself. But the reality is, common sense should dictate that you can listen to a bit of information and go, on the basis of probability, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, just go, nah.
Yeah, you don't need to have advanced degrees in different topics. I may not know anything about a topic. I don't know anything about how you fill in a pothole. But if I watch someone just dump a whole load of tar in it and then stamp up and down on it, I know that's not going to work.
Yeah, new technique. Pour soil in and water it.
Yeah.
You'd be like, nah.
You don't need to be a rocket scientist to go, well, that's clearly not going to stick for very long.
Yeah.
And technology's like that. If you delve into it, you can find the answer to anything.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
And I work, I've got a lot of friends that are surgeons, doctors, and we all do the same. People think that we're particularly gifted people. We're not gifted at all. We just work hard.
Yeah.
And when everyone else is sat watching TV, I'm sat learning. You're sat learning.
Yeah, same.
My friends, the ones that are the top surgeons in the country, they're sat learning every day.
So I used to do what you did. When I first left the military, I got a job on the telephone. It's fucking boring. British safety. I was selling health and safety on the phone, mate. I've never sold anything, mate. Within 4 years, it was like best telesales. But I had an hour and a half like you did from Shrewsbury to Birmingham every day. So I had 3 hours where I built a business. I remember doing it on a Nokia 8210 though. I'd like write out my posts.
Yeah, can't beat an 8210.
Mate, go for a pretend piss break, and I was really in the toilet at like 10:30 and 3:30, posting up my posts for like the group I'd have that night. And then on the way there and forward, I was just teaching myself stuff.
Yeah.
You realise 3 hours a day, and now I've got all this going on. I mean, we're in a different level, but like, it was 3 hour days. 3 hours a day are precious, but what a lot of people would have who have a normal job.
Yeah.
And they're just not utilising it.
Yeah, people have the time. And because everyone says to me all the time at work, you're nuts. How do you do all of this? Come on, Theo. How you doing all of this? I don't have any special gift. I just utilise my time.
But here's the other thing as well. I think we have to lean into. We've got an interest in learning.
Yeah,
and people just don't, right?
No, and I always say you've got to love what you do to want to do it. I love everything about science. It fascinates me.
So what's the day job look like today then? What's a normal day for Theo?
So a big part of what I do at the minute is I do a lot of teaching. So I teach a lot of doctors and nurses,
right?
Different things to do with all manner of different things. So last week I was working on an advanced life support course. So you're working with kind of top level doctors on how to resuscitate people. I'm not doing the practicalities. I'm talking through the drug therapy, how the drugs work, what they do, how we can time them, how we can improve survivability. So a lot of the time, we'll have. I had an F2 on the program, for example. So they're a first year 2 doctor. So they're about 7-8 years into their program. So they're very early on in it. And
early on.
That's early.
Yeah. That's not even a junior doctor yet.
So 7-8 years is early.
Yeah. So you got bare minimum between 5 and 6 years as med school.
Yeah.
That doesn't change.
Okay.
You then do FY1, which is your first year of practice as a student.
Yeah.
You then, if you pass FY1, you then move on to FY2, which is your second year as a student, but you have a lot more autonomy. You finish FY2, you then go into your junior doctor program, where you then work your way through your SHO, your senior house officer, and you work your way through, and eventually you apply for your registrar status.
Right.
Kind of like 15 years in.
15 years average, probably 20 years to consult.
Yeah, you then get your registrar. You then work your way up, specialty registrar, higher specialty, then consultant. So these guys, you know, a big part of my job is twofold. One, I do a lot with the kind of microbiology side of how the drugs work, what they do, how they interact, what the latest research is showing on different things. And then on the other side, I do an awful lot with medical law, because that's my other specialty.
Right.
So I do a lot with them about how you assess patients for mental capacity decision making.
Okay.
How we can do legal detentions under the Mental Health Act, what the criteria is for detention, how we avoid...
so is this where you blended your interest in medicine, biology, the human body and that with law?
Yeah, so law was... I'll be honest with you, I still to this day can't tell you why I went to law school. I just did.
Run out of interesting things to learn about. That was it.
Just wanted to do another degree.
Yeah, and when I finished it, I was like, oh, well, actually, I've done quite well. My interest is in medicine, so a big part of my, because I then went into medical legal research as well as medical research.
Right.
So I now do research on both sides of the field. So I do the biology research, and then I do the ethical side of it, as to how we get approval for the program. So we're doing a lot at the minute with embryology research, looking at whether or not we can eradicate diseases through genetic decoding.
Yeah.
So you've got the science side, and then you've got the legal side behind it. So that's what pushed me into medical law as an area that I found really interesting, because we're looking at how do we allow these studies to go ahead.
Yeah.
And also it gave you, and like I said, for my day job, it helps me a lot, because, you know, I'll do a lot on mental capacity, which is a big issue we have at the minute in this country.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, you know, fall short of mental capacity. We need to treat them. We need to look after them, but we need to make sure we're doing it correctly.
Yeah.
And that's what mental capacity law lets us do.
Okay.
So I did a lot on that. And then obviously I had a keen interest in embryology law.
Yeah.
You know, looking at things.
Did that start before you thought of having kids, or was that?
It was around the same time. So we'd been talking about having children for a while, but historically everything was always on the fact that I was like, well, let me just finish this bit of training, and then we'll have a kid, because life will calm down. But then I'd finish it and I'd be like, well, let me just go and do this.
And then we're a bit older.
Yeah, and then before we knew it, we're kind of looking, we're like, well, we're kind of in our...
How long have you two been together?
8-9 years.
Yeah.
So how'd you meet?
Met at work. Yeah, Jade works as a paramedic.
Yeah. So Jade, I don't know if you'll be able to with a little in there, but what paramedic? Where did life start for you?
Well, it didn't start as a paramedic either. I'm a bit of a wild card too.
Where did things start?
Yeah, we'll swap for a minute. Dada. My very early career actually started working at Pontins. Do you remember
Pontins? I do, yeah.
Yeah,
if you pull that mic, you should stretch out, or just mind that cup, that's it, and then you'll be able to pull it towards you, so you don't have to lean in and get comfy. Pontins?
Yes.
Is it still going?
I don't know, actually. I think it's shut down now.
Is that a bit like Butlins?
Yeah, it's like Butlins. A bit wild.
So what were you doing there?
Singing, dancing, clowning around, you know.
Oh, so entertainment?
Yeah.
How old were you when you started that?
I think I was about 20, maybe.
Right.
20, 21. Before that, I just worked in retail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I loved Pontins. Then I went off to work for Haven. I went for a few holiday camps. Like, that was my interest.
Yeah.
Younger, was singing, dancing, all that.
So you're a good singer, you must be.
I'm all right, yeah.
Good. Yeah, you've done very good.
And then I ended up going on cruise ships for about 6 years, I think, 5-6 years singing.
Right.
So I was in productions on Silver Seas,
yeah.
a Japanese cruise
Where?
line.
All over the world?
All over the world.
Sounds horrendous.
Travelled the world, it was amazing.
Sounds awful.
Loved it. That was my early 20s, was
yeah.
great. And then, you know, it's fast forward a bit to about 27, 28. I thought I better come home and get a real job. I wanted to settle down, obviously meet someone, have a family, and you just can't do that on a cruise ship. It's just wild party life style. And I thought, what can I do? And I literally looked at the clearing list at Coventry Uni.
The what?
The clearing.
What's that?
So it's basically like, there's some places left on this course.
What haven't we filled up?
Yeah, basically.
Just go jump on what's there.
Yeah, I was just like, well, I need to look at like getting a degree in something.
Yeah.
It wasn't even planned. I saw paramedic science and I thought, that's probably a bit fun, exciting.
Yeah.
I've always been a bit looking for excitement, I suppose.
Yeah.
Just been travelling. So I thought, we'll give that a whirl. Applied, somehow managed to get on the course. I don't know how, really. I mean, I had some GCSEs, so yeah. So I did that for 3 years. And then just been working as a paramedic since, really. I've enjoyed it, but I've not gone back at the minute.
You've not gone back.
So.
What's it like? Is it you're under the cosh, right? Though surely with what I hear with ambulances, not.
Yeah, I enjoyed it probably more so in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then I think it becomes a bit not boring, I suppose is the word. I shouldn't really use that word.
No, use whatever word you want.
Yeah,
It becomes monotonous.
Yeah, it did, and more so because the general use of ambulances frustrates a lot of paramedics. We just get wasted, really.
Yeah, I bet.
But then obviously with our journey of IVF, you can't be pregnant on an ambulance.
No.
So we planned to kind of stop. Well, I planned to stop working completely.
We didn't stop working.
Yeah.
Well, it's all about being calm and relaxed and preparing the body.
In the right mood. Great sell that. Great pitch.
Isn't it? Yeah. So I had to, get to that calm place, go to the spa, have a few massages.
Set a David Lloyd spa.
Oh, that's the one. Can't be doing pure jet.
Oh no.
No, but this was all in the name of making a baby, Sue. So
that's what started. So then So let's talk about the product then.
Yeah.
Who's better placed to walk us through that?
Well, Yannick's definitely the microbiologist in all this. I'm just more of a face and designer.
Well, go on. If you fill us, talk about the journey then. For anyone watching this, then obviously you've got to know the both of you quite well.
Yeah.
So you mentioned obviously Yannick's got the background of understanding what's to put in it,
Awesome.
but then you said you run with the branding and stuff, right?
Yeah, so I've enjoyed obviously branding and making all the labels and designing it from scratch, really. But I think that's probably my creative background in singing.
How did you find the process?
I loved it. I love all that stuff, actually. I definitely found a new interest of what I like. So I've really enjoyed making the branding and looking at other brands and see what they're doing.
How hard did you find the whole process?
From start to finish, it took us like 12 months to get here. I think it's more that every step you go, there's 10 steps back because there's some other obstacle we've found, especially with ingredients in the UK, very restricted compared to America, what we actually wanted to put some other things, but you're not allowed in this country.
Yeah, we've got.
I think it's from like 1950, the law as well. It's like,
Rhodiola rosea.
it's not been updated.
Gram in the initial one. Apparently the MRHA license. I was like, why? Apparently the over 400, and it's like classed as a drug. Then I'm like, well, I'll just do 400 and say take 2.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
But they're just protecting some of the most valuable things that.
Yeah.
The regulators were ridiculous. There's a criteria in this country. You can't call it a supplement unless it's been in standard dietary use since 1980. And you're like, but this stuff, no one knew about it in 1980.
Exactly.
And the government's like, oh yeah, but you can't put it in a product. Despite the fact people have been eating it around the world for hundreds of thousands of years.
Look at cordyceps, Tonka alley, all just being done. Just make sure that doesn't come down. Just that's not very on there much.
He's got one in his room exactly the same. He likes to pull it. That's why.
So I think the government they're so restrictive some of this stuff is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was
Which
one of our biggest.
we didn't really realise, did we? Obviously, you just think, well, we want to put this, and then no, you can't do.
So
that.
walk us through the development then of the ingredient piece. Like where you started.
So we initially started was around obviously with our IVF protocol. It told us what we needed basically, and then obviously
which was
lots of the list goes on. I've got it all on my computer.
But key things like your coenzyme Q10, making sure you're getting your folate for neural development. Buddy. So again, it's your coenzyme Q10, your folates, all your B vitamins, your selenium, your iodine. Buddy, back it in. It was a case of like we said, they were saying, you got to buy them all individually, or you need X amount of a dose.
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, a lot of these products are saying, oh, we've got the dose in there, and they do.
Yeah.
But they've got 5 milligram, whereas you need 200.
Yeah.
And they get away with saying it's in the product because they put it in.
Yeah.
But it's trace amounts.
Yeah.
So
let's. Do you want to go through it? Let's just jump on, pull them each out. Let's go into it because this is the good bit now. So, I suppose to start with, which was the first one you made?
So to be fair, we made both the fertility products first.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very helpful.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That was planned.
Yeah. We made both of our fertility products first. And these were simply a combination of the type of things that we were taking for our IVF.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem we had to start with is, as I've mentioned, you need quite high dosages. So the reason this cost me so much money to set it up is when we were contacting factories, they simply didn't have the ingredients I wanted.
Yeah. So you have to buy the big MOQs they need to fill in.
And what I always loved is the company was like, oh, yeah, our MOQs are really low. You only need to spend £75,000 to start. And I'm like, I don't have 75 grand.
Yeah.
What if we got for a bit less than that? And through a lot
On
of
a
haggling,
single ingredient as well, you'd be like...
Yeah, so for a lot of haggling, it took a long time back and forth. But we ended up using a lot of concentrates, and we made the concentrates ourselves with the factory.
Okay.
So... a prime example is we used maca root, which is really good for helping fertility and the hormone system.
Okay.
But effective dosages, you need about 5 grams. There are 3 main types. You've got black maca, yellow maca, and red maca.
Okay.
And you need roughly kind of 5 grams of each one to have any degree of efficiency.
Okay.
As you well know, a standard capsule, you're kind of limited to about 680 milligram per capsule.
Yeah.
So straight away, if you've got a product that you need 5 grams in, you can't put it in.
No, you can't.
So with the maca root, for example, what we were able to do is through a lot of begging, borrowing, stealing and everything else, we were able to get the factory to actually manufacture 100-to-1 ratio of it.
Yeah.
So we were able to condense it down, concentrate it.
Yeah.
So in each serving, you've got the full 5 grams of maca.
Yeah.
But we're able to get it down to only 50 milligrams of actual product, but it's given you the benefits as though you were having 5 grams of the root.
Yeah.
And that's what we did for almost every product in here.
Yeah.
Is, we were looking...
Otherwise, this would be like...
You'd need about 50 tablets a day. And that's what most companies, number one, they're saying you only need 1 capsule a day. Well, the fact is you've got to take at least 4.
Yeah.
Because you just can't get anywhere near what you want on 1 capsule.
Yep.
And it's great for marketing and it's great for profit.
Yeah.
If I say take 1 capsule, I can sell tons more.
You'll be selling convenience, not
a working product.
Not a working product.
So what we did is, as we went through it, so I prioritized which ones are going to be the most important. So the number one thing is we were looking at stuff like, obviously, you need your coenzyme Q10, particularly in the fertility. Massive for mitochondrial boosting. So energy production, electron pathway, absolutely superb for that. Recent studies have shown, particularly in females, good dosages. There was actually a study done in 2025. It was only published a few months ago. And that's reconfirmed the fact that actually women that take 300 milligram of CoQ10, higher implantation success rate during fertility.
Really?
Now, if you're paying for IVF, let's call it 8 grand a pop, implantation is what matters.
Yeah.
Because you walk out that, bearing in mind, a lot of people don't realise when you actually have the implant procedure, it's a 5-minute jobby.
Yeah.
You're literally in and out in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You've then got what we call the 2-week wait, which is has it implanted.
Yeah. Fun.
Now, to me, I don't want a product that's only got a quarter of the dose that's been studied. It's not going to, don't get me wrong, it's going to help you, but it's not going to help as much as the full dose.
Yeah, of course.
So if I'm spending 8 grand, I want to give my body the best chance.
Opportunity, put it in the best place.
Yeah. And behind this, with a lot of these ingredients, the way it works, so again, we put ashwagandha root in our product. And a lot of people go, well, why have you put that in? Well, it's really, really good at lowering cortisol. Right.
Yep.
If you lower cortisol, you lower your internal stress response, which means long term...
You achieve that spa feeling.
Correct. There you go.
You need to relax.
And you're able to eliminate a lot of these reactive oxygen species that are present in the body. And again, that's significantly related to diet and stress. Now, if you're able to eliminate those and you're allowed to get the body, and what people have to understand is a lot of the time with these products, you may not sit there and feel like night and day difference, but at a cellular level, your body is working much more effectively.
Yeah.
And if we can eliminate molecular stress, then what that does is as the embryo and, more so as the egg itself is developing, what a lot of people don't realize is with reactive oxygen species, and again, for people listening that keep saying, I don't know what the hell he's on about.
We'll put a link, Tom. Get
All you've got to imagine is every time you've got inflammation in your body, white blood cells travel to an area, and when they attack anything, so if you've got hay fever, your white blood cells are attacking the allergen. You don't like allergens, do you, buddy?
Hates that word.
Chill.
You know, I like the sound of Daddy's voice.
But when your body is attacking that allergen, you know, your macrophage goes through the whole process of phagocytosis, and as it destroys that allergen, it does so with reactive oxygen species.
Right.
And that's what it creates as a byproduct. So the more of that kind of reaction you've got constantly going on, those reactants, when they're residually left in the body, in high concentrations, they can actually cause mild DNA fragmentation.
Right, okay.
So your actual DNA is not held together as well as it is.
Yep.
Now, if you imagine you're going through egg development, that's going to play a significant role in am I potentially going to have a low quality or high quality egg?
Yeah.
What I don't want... Oh, you want the product? Okay. What you don't want is an egg quality that's subpar, because when you go to harvest your eggs, you might create 15 eggs, of which only one might be good enough to go through the process.
Yeah.
And whereas if you've had all of these supplements for 3-4 months prior to egg harvesting, you're going to increase that chance of going, well, we've actually got 4 good eggs.
Yeah.
Which then means we can fertilize all 4. You keep 3 in a freezer. And you use 1, so you've got 3 backups.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing a lot of the time is that egg quality is decreasing and egg production is going down.
Yeah.
So, you know, and again, a lot of people, they'll go through it and they spent all this money and they get to egg harvesting, there's 2 eggs. You know, I think we had about 6, incredibly low. Of that, only 2 were any good.
Really?
Of which 1 worked.
Yeah, 1 was absolutely standard.
You know, but for a lot of people, if you imagine you've just... Because again, I always say, you know, like I said, despite my unique life, we didn't have any money. When Jade and I first met each other, you know, I always remember, because it's always kind of a key part, we were so poor at one point, we went out for a Papa John's pizza. We couldn't afford to pay for it. We were like £3 short.
Yeah.
That was our entire life money. We had nothing.
Yeah.
You know. So when you're looking at spending 10, 20, 30,000...
I didn't even realise it was that expensive.
Yeah.
So expensive.
And the likelihood, from what you've told me already, is marginal.
Yeah, and that's where this massive bill comes from, is, you know, because a lot of companies, again, they catch people out, typical kind of sales hook, you know, have IVF, $4,000 for the whole cycle. Yeah, it's $4,000 for the cycle, but you've got to pay for your meds.
Which is about $3,000.
Yeah. Now you're at 7.
Yeah.
Now, because you didn't have a lot of money.
Goods, yeah. That's another £250 each.
Yeah, and let's imagine, again, you're a normal couple.
Yeah.
You've had to take a loan out for that
And
7-8 grand.
A scan, a pelvic
Yeah,
scan.
you need all your
scan.
scan.
All the things.
Yeah,
So many things.
And this is the point. If you're fit and healthy, one, you don't need IVF, but if you went through IVF when you're fit and healthy, it's a lot more affordable.
Yeah.
But if you're fit and healthy, you don't need IVF.
Yeah.
So the ones of us going through it, we've got problems with fertility. So you have all this testing, all these scans, all these blood tests we got to do. They all cost money. Most people, you've got to take out a loan for that money.
Yeah.
And I've spoken to people that are so fixated on wanting to have a child that they're on their 3rd, 4th attempt. They've got 40 grand's worth of debt.
Really?
Because people don't realise the NHS doesn't offer IVF for everyone.
No.
A lot of it depends
Really
on...
strict
Well, it's,
criteria, actually.
one, the criteria is really strict. And
Because it's so expensive,
Yeah.
from what you've told me, right?
Yeah, it's
You
very
only get one go
expensive.
anyway, mainly.
Yeah, you normally only get one go, but a lot of it's also called a postcode lottery.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of listeners may not be aware, but with the NHS, we've got what are called clinical commissioning groups, CGCs.
Yep.
And the way the clinical commissioning groups work is, for each area, there's a clinical commissioning group, and they determine what are we spending our local budget on. If we're in a particularly poor area where we've got a high birth rate, we're not going to spend our money on IVF. So it won't be available in that area.
Got you.
Now, you happen to just be a normal couple that live in that area.
Yeah, then
you want children,
penalised.
and you get penalised because everyone else in that area is having a kid at 14. You know, let's face it, you know, a lot of places now, you know, we're like grandparent.
I'm waiting for that when he goes to school.
Yeah. Oh, your grandma picking you up. But as a result, we are seeing more and more teenage pregnancies. And what you find is a lot of the clinical commissioning groups go, well, we've got no shortage of children being born. Why are we spending money on IVF?
Yeah.
Because to them, and it's horrible, but I understand it, it's business. To them, it's like, well, there's only going to be, let's say we've got a population of 1 million. We might only have a couple thousand people that need IVF.
Yeah, and their other interests for care or health or looking after people rise because of other issues with.
And quite honestly, if we give 1,000 people IVF at 20 grand a pop, that's 2 million quid we've just spent that we could go and spend on a care home that we could run and operate it.
Yeah, because all the kids that are being born are probably looked after. So the whole problem, the issue of care
exactly
is different, right?
So the commissioning groups do what they need to do, and I fully understand it. And they go, we have to prioritise our money. The NHS has not got an unlimited budget. We just very, very limited. And it's simply about going, how do we utilise our money more efficiently? And that's why more and more people are self-funding IVF. And again, a lot of people, their fertility issues may come from lifestyles that they've lived that will exclude you from the NHS criteria anyway.
Yeah.
Because the criteria does have to be very rigid and understandably so.
Yeah.
We're not going to give you IVF if your success rate's at 1% because we're just wasting money. And that's the whole.
That could lead us into our little IVF.
Well, that's a big part of our.
About that as well.
What's this?
That's a big part of our company. So what we're doing is every tub that we sell, we're putting a bit of our profit aside for a couple of charities. So one of them is we're going to pay for someone once we sell X amount of tubs. We're offering a fully funded IVF package. So we're going to raffle out to people that have bought the product.
Yeah.
And not fingers crossed, someone's going to win it.
Someone's going to win it.
We wanted to do that because it's such a financial burden.
Yeah.
And we're not just about making loads of money.
No.
It's never been about that.
You can see you two are passionate about the whole topic.
It's more just about,
and you're lucky in a sense as a couple that
making
he's
it
as
affordable.
fucking clever as he is.
we
I know.
Here you go, buddy. Number one, I'll be honest with you, I'm always very. Children was never on my agenda in life.
Yeah.
My agenda was just how many bits of paper can I carry on collecting. I've had to stop collecting and move on. But it is absolutely awesome. And the fact is, for a lot of people, they want what we've got, which is to have that family. And my approach is, well, if I can give away a bit of money with each product I sell and we spread that over, you get 5,000 people that all place an order. Well, I can now go and fund someone's IVF fully funded.
Yeah.
Which means that, a lucky couple is going to go, well, we buy from them and actually we've now got a fully funded. And it's not like, it's fully funded for 2 grand, for 3. We're going to fund the whole thing.
Yeah.
And on top of that, our other charities, we're doing a lot for feeding children at the minute.
Okay.
So for every tub we sell, we also donate enough money to feed a child for 10 days.
And who's that through?
So we do that through the Lemon Foundation. So it's an international organisation, work all over the world.
Yeah.
It's not in any one country.
Yeah.
It's about going, okay, so every product we sell, we've donated X amount of money to the Lemon Foundation, which based on the way they can utilise money, because obviously massive foundations can buy food at much lower cost. What we can donate from one tub can feed a child for 10 days.
Right.
Whereas in real money terms, to try and go to Tesco and buy enough food to feed a child for 10 days would cost a fortune.
Yeah.
But when you're working
They're making too much money, aren't they?
When you're working with a large company that can go and buy it at source, what they can do with a couple of pound is completely different to what I can do with a couple of pounds. And that's where we say, we're not about the money. We're giving away a big chunk of our profit on every tub we sell.
So on that then, give us a sales pitch for each of these then for anyone watching this. Let's unbox them properly. So we talked about fertility.
Yeah.
Give us the sales pitch.
So the whole point behind this fertility supplement is it is simply an all-in-one.
Yep. Which includes?
So we've got absolutely everything from, you've got your choline, which is really important for, again, neural development. You've got your N-acetylcysteine. N-acetylcysteine, again, another really powerful antioxidant. So N-acetylcysteine, or NAC as we call it, it's a precursor to glutathione. So you take it, your body converts it into glutathione, and that is an antioxidant that helps to keep your cells fresh and replenished.
Yep.
So that's in there, again, at a full dose. We then put royal jelly. Most people have never even heard of that.
What the hell is royal jelly?
Oh, no, that's the answer I get from
everyone.
Here
we go. Heard it here first, kids.
So royal jelly, it's a derivative from honeybees.
Okay.
So it's an incredibly nutrient dense form of nutrients.
Okay.
So it's got around about 85 trace minerals and vitamins.
Because they say you could literally live off like
Oh,
like a bee hive. Or
yeah, it's
like the
remarkable.
hive.
Yeah, the bees are phenomenal. When you go into it, it's incredible. But they create this product from their beehives, and what we've found is that when if you imagine, a lot of people don't always think of it like this, but when a woman is developing that egg each month, what you put into your body is going to determine how well that egg is going to develop.
Yeah.
If we can give it nutrients that it can access at a molecular level to help create every functioning part, that's going to boost your chance of having good DNA, good implantation, and hopefully a successful pregnancy. So, we've got that product in there. Obviously, the coenzyme Q10, you got your full dose of 300 milligram, and absolutely. Again, with a lot of these things, people think, it's a repeat on a topic. A lot of them are antioxidants. But what people may not understand is that the pathways they work on is different.
Right.
So in your body, you've got hundreds of antioxidant pathways.
Okay.
Coenzyme Q10 will work on a couple.
Yeah.
N-acetylcysteine works on a different couple.
Okay.
Choline. And so all of them are working on different pathways to achieve the desired outcome.
Fine.
Which is simply what we're after, is that your body, when it's producing and designing this egg, because again, if you actually, the amount of DNA your body is building into it is just phenomenal.
I bet.
If you were to stretch that DNA out, you can go around the world however many times.
Yeah.
In every single...
Crazy that, isn't it?
Every single, individual compartment of DNA, if you were to stand it out, it's about 6 foot tall.
What?
And you've got 35 trillion of those in your body.
Nuts.
It's absolutely mad.
Absolutely nuts.
The more you go down into it, the more mad it gets. Cause,
It's like a rabbit hole.
Yeah, you literally...
I get lost.
Yeah, the entire human body is just a culmination of 4 different letters. A, T, C, and G.
Really?
Adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. All we are is a combination of how those letters link.
Right.
So whether or not you've got blue eyes, green eyes, that is simply which letters happen to be next to each other in the gene that controls eye colour.
Fine.
Still those 4 codes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mad.
Whether your skin heals properly or doesn't heal properly depends on the skin healing gene, whether or not your A, T, C, and Gs are all in line.
Yeah. And that all happens at this development stage.
Yeah, so when you're exposed to loads of chemicals...
Which we are daily.
Which we are. And the best way I say to anyone who's kind of a bit confused by all this, go and look at what happens to children that were born post-World War II, after the first nuclear bomb was dropped in those areas in Japan. What you had is the first couple of generations had tremendous defects because nuclear weaponry separates hydrogen ions, which separates your DNA.
Really?
So when your DNA is coding, it can't code properly.
Fine.
So the code that says your heart's meant to be structured X, Y, and Z, that code never forms. So kids were born with heart defects.
Yeah.
Kids were blind.
Yeah.
Kids were born missing limbs because the codes were falling apart, because that is what nuclear radiation does.
Yeah.
That's why Mary Curie died. She was exposed to radiation. It was literally separating her DNA until she died from it. The firefighters during the meltdown in the Ukrainian reactor, all the ones that went anywhere near it, they all literally melted.
That's mad.
Their skin melted off their body. Their cells dissolved because their DNA was separated from the radiation. Yeah. Now, people may think, well, that's ridiculous, but right now I've got 2 phones on me, mainly because I'm looking after one of Jade's phones. Everyone's got a phone in their pocket all the time.
The AirPods. Crazy bad for you.
Right. Well, the problem is we just don't...
stop now.
We just don't understand exactly how... Because to do a study on how this technology impacts us, it takes us, realistically 5 to 10 years to have a conducive study that's effective.
Yeah.
But we're developing technology so fast, we can't study it.
Yeah.
So we estimate how things are likely to work.
Based on what we know.
Right.
And you're not basing off what you don't know.
Right. And there's a lot we don't know.
Yeah.
And
the more you realise you know, the more you realise you don't know.
Yeah, there's this very famous graph in academia. And it always says that when you're at an undergrad level, your actual knowledge is at its lowest, but your perceived knowledge is at its highest. As you go through masters, PhD, and postgrad and all of that, your actual knowledge is high, but your realization is so low.
So low.
And all I've learned over the last 16 years is I know nothing.
Agreed, yeah.
Yeah,
the deeper you go,
yeah,
the more unnerving it is. And that's broadly.
Yeah, and these are the rabbit holes that I go down when I create products. Is I'm looking at them, going, well, how can I actually benefit systematically at a cellular level? Not how can I make a pretty product.
I talked about this recently. You've seen the selection of brands we work with and what I've got. So, like, interesting for me, you could start something like sleep.
Yeah.
Well, then you get to exercise. And you think, oh, I'll take some supplements.
Yeah.
And then, well, they're all shit because my gut biome's broke.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I actually can't take any of it because it's not my gut health. And I've gone and done with them Zinzino. A test for omega-3 and 6 at cellular level, because I believe if it's not at the ratio, you've got cellular inflammation to such a degree. The rest above it doesn't even work.
Yeah, and you can't utilise it.
Mate, it was 40 to 1.
Yeah, there you go.
They were like, the highest I think this in was at 70 or 80 to 1, and it should be 3 to 6 or something.
Yeah, and you're
40 to 1. Basically, I don't really eat fish. The level of omega-3 and 6 in our food chain's shite anyway. So I've been taking this. We might do the other test. But for me, that was my journey to talk about you get to. But this, how fundamentally is, right? We have an issue maybe verbally, or we have a problem in work. We go root cause analysis. Yeah. It's a well-documented process. Yeah. It seems biologically we've forgotten to do that.
We, in a lot of other countries, it's done like that. I've always loved America and the American approach, because people always criticise, like, oh, no. But anyway, America, because everything is private, if you want it, you can have it.
Yeah.
And because you can have it, we study it.
Yeah.
So all the peptides that are a big trend now, they all started in America, because over there, someone's gone, well, hang on a minute, this works.
Yep.
Let's look at it.
Yeah.
And we just do a study. Whereas over here, there's so many restrictions. You can't study this. You can't study that.
Yeah.
You can't do it like this. You have to have approval. The ethics committee won't approve it.
Yeah.
So we never learn anything. So we're always years behind a lot of other places.
It's probably the most exciting space I've come across now, that you probably know a long time, where you think, well, why wouldn't we? Like, and then you get into the conspiracy theories of
you go down
being farmed and patented. And
I mean, I was literally last week, I was sat talking to a couple of friends of mine, both higher specialty registrars in hospital. One's a paediatrician, one's an A&E specialist. And when we were talking about peptides, and they're in exactly the same boat as me, and we're sat there going, there's this world that everywhere else we're talking about, but over here we're not.
Mad.
And a lot of us, we're using these products and we're getting phenomenal results from them.
I had an old business partner, best friend, ex-military, was going to do the Paris Half Marathon. He got an autistic son, raising money.
Yeah.
Literally got to a point where his shoulder's frozen. Mate, he's fit as hell, imagine. Was going for surgery. Found BPC 157, TV500. Friend of ours got a brand. 3 weeks, straight in, fixed. He's been suffering this for nearly 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm past even like worrying about MRHA approval, whatever, on the studies. You're like, I've watched it.
All approval means is that it's gone through a big enough process and enough money was spent to say it's worthwhile and it's cost efficient.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything else aside from that. And a lot of things people don't realise, a lot of things actually, so almost every drug in paediatric medicine does not have approval to be used in paediatrics.
Really?
Because we can't do trials on paediatrics.
Fine.
Ethically, it's not allowed.
Yeah.
But we use them because we know they work.
Yeah, exactly. So there's already displays of that principle being used in other elements.
Oh, we do. Whenever it suits a purpose, we do it all the time.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not going to turn this into a political debate, but there are loads of situations whereby a government has decided that we're going to trial something, so they trial it.
Yeah.
And the reality is, with a lot of this stuff, with a lot of our ingredients that we use, like I said, the government says, oh, we can't. You're not allowed to ever make a health claim.
Yeah.
You can't say this will do anything.
That's so rigid, really. The fundamental principles behind health claims as well. Right?
Yeah.
It's even broken. We've had like the health food safety standards in for checks.
Yeah. You can't make this claim. You can't say anything that could eat. I mean, you just can't do anything. And the reality is, I'm not saying my supplement is the difference between life and death. Of course not. No supplement is. But does it help you? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I always say, if a supplement can give you 25% increase,
Yeah, huge.
then that's a massive. If I told you to go and buy a lottery ticket and you've got a 25% chance of winning, you'd buy a ticket all day, every day.
Yeah.
You know, we're not saying that you take a supplement, your life is going to change overnight. No. But what supplements are designed to do is to supplement a healthy lifestyle
yeah.
with extra things that are not typical in our diet.
Yeah.
You know, so like I said, we've got the coenzyme Q10, the choline. We put green tea extract in it to help give you that little bit of energy.
Yep.
Because again, when you're going through, you know, all of this, it's emotionally draining. You know, and that was one of the things we found a lot. It's just tired all the time. Because tired all the time because
stress. You're back to this main thing. Like I do a lot of the diabetes safety organisation.
Stress is so key with diabetes and blood sugars.
PT, all I've done was a bit naively, you're just fat because you're lazy. And then like, the last 5 years, it's been a real realisation. There was that one thing I wasn't aware of. Stress. It's like cortisol levels are high. Your body is literally in survival mode. So unless you remove that, you can't even get into that next level of why.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
And a lot of people don't realise when you're in survival mode, your body's going, well, okay, I need to survive. How do I survive? One, I store fat.
Yeah.
Because I need that when I'm not in
Just
survival
in case.
mode. You know, so when I run out of nutrients, I need a backup. Because I'm clearly in a stressful environment, let me store my fat.
Yep.
Okay, I don't need particularly high amounts of muscle at the minute because muscle burns energy.
That's catabolic. It's a
right,
great
let me get rid of my muscle.
An easy way, yeah.
So this is where your typical dad bod comes from with a lot of people. Is they're stressed. They work a typical
and a
9
lower
to 5.
testosterone baseline than we've ever had. More shit food.
But again, the lower testosterone, if you look at a lot of studies, it's linked to a couple of things. One of them in particular is all the chemicals in our food now.
Yep.
A lot of chemicals are what we call estrogenic chemicals. They promote an increase in estrogen, which indirectly will suppress your testosterone a little bit.
Bit of gyno going or dad bod.
So what you've got is this generation of people that, quite frankly, they're not living a bad lifestyle.
But they just don't know how unacutely unhealthy it is.
Yeah, because they're sat there, and if you look at the typical person, it's a bowl of cornflakes for breakfast, it's a Tesco meal deal for lunch. Normally, at some point, you stop off at a Starbucks and you have a caramel frappe latte mucca, whatever.
Yeah, with fucking
400 calories, and then you'll have a Cinnabon on the side. And I love a Cinnabon, but you've had 1,000 calories with your coffee and your cake.
You don't realise it. There's nutrient there's
there's
void
no
of
good
nutrients
in it. It's full of calories, but there's nothing good in it. And then they go home, they have a routine dinner, which is probably going to be a bag of oven chips and, a McCain's.
Small yellow plate.
Yeah, whatever. And what they don't realise is, number one, throughout the entire day, they've had 50 gram of protein, if that. They've had about 400 gram of sugar.
Yep.
And again, a lot of it's processed sugar. So, there's always this ongoing debate between carbohydrates. Are all carbs equal? No. All carbs amount to the same thing in the body. They amount to glucose, but it's how they get there.
Yeah, exactly.
If you've got your sweet potatoes, you've got this lovely slow releasing. So you're still getting your glucose, but it's trickling in.
It's not getting a huge insulin spike.
You're not having that instant
crash.
Yeah. And a lot of people also, and again, you'll have come across this when you looked at your diabetes hypo kits. When you pile in the sugar, your insulin spikes. What happens when your insulin spikes? Your lipolysis is inhibited. You can't burn any fat.
Yep.
So you store it.
Yep.
Now, there's nothing wrong with eating a whole ton of sugar if you're going to go and run a marathon because you're going to burn it off.
Yeah, but
you're going to sit back behind your desk.
Yeah.